Mike, thoughts, emotions, feelings, really create a lot of different energy. And sometimes when we put those thoughts and feelings and emotions and different things of that nature into objects, it can manifest, it can create, it can magnify the intent of that object.
Or just life itself.
Yes, yes. And it is interesting when we have guests like Magenta Pixie, who has a lot of very good talents and skills. And when she puts those feelings and emotions into some of the objects that she uses, some of those tools, it really magnifies a person's capabilities.
Yeah, it's a tool or a window.
Right.
And one of the ways I explain some of these things, like tarot cards or whatever, certain people think, oh, it's evil or whatever. And I say, well, when you pray, to God or whoever, then don't you ask for signs? Like, well, yeah. Like, well, this is just a tool for those signs.
That's right.
That's all it is.
That's right. And it's our great pleasure to welcome back Magenta Pixie. Magenta is a ascension coach, a channeler. She's had a multitude of different videos on many different subjects that surround spiritual ascension. Welcome, Magenta.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Mike. Nice to be back.
As we're talking about those kinds of energies that surround tools, etc., do you have any comments? Any thoughts on that?
Yes, very much so. Where I am now, I don't use tools that often for my own work with, say, one-to-one sessions with individuals. I do use tools for my own personal spirituality, and I do use tools occasionally to make connections with higher dimensions and with the nine. I do think that they are very, very useful, especially for people who are moving into this energy for the first time. But they're not needed because you have all the tools within you anyway, so you don't need them. But when I say tools, what I mean by tools are tarot cards, oracle cards, crystals, crystal skulls, any kind of item that would be used for divination. And they do have their place, and I do use them personally. What I have is like I have an altar. I've created a little altar, and it's next to my computer, which is where I do a lot of my work. So I'll have on my altar, I have a bowl of crystals, I have some candles, I have little ornaments of a little dragon and an angel. I have a picture of a medium or a fortune teller reading a crystal ball. So I have all this there. And then I use this for my own personal work. So, for example, manifestation, all sorts. But you can use, they don't have to be spiritual looking tools like candles and crystals and pictures. The computer can be used as a tool for not necessarily divination, but it can be used for manifestation and possibly divination as well, if you use it in the way that you would do, say, bibliomancy in a book,
well,
if you were to...
You're absolutely correct. Mike recently used his iPhone, in which he was communicating with some individuals that were needing a little bit of advice. And if you don't mind, Mike, would you share?
Well, there was just a quote that came up, and then these people were debating it. If you suffer, it's because of you. If you feel blissful, it's because of you. Nobody else is responsible, only you and you alone. You are your hell and your heaven too. And then they were debating whether, that's dark things or whatever, because they didn't mention God or something. And I said the way I explain it, the universe is energy, and thoughts and emotions are energy. Words carry energy and intent. The universe is neutral, and if it hears you saying nothing goes right, then the universe gives you that. And if you go out into your day going, it's going to be a great day, then that's what energy you get back, and like energies attract. And one of my motorcycle riding friends likened it to target fixation. And target fixation, if you're a motorcycle rider, is when you're going down the road, the motorcycle goes where you look. If you look at the ditch, you veer into the ditch. If you look at the pothole, you're going to hit the pothole. If you look around the corner and see your line, that's where it follows. And so that's where your intention and where you're concentrating your focus, and that's where you go.
So that's pretty much sums up the tools that you're talking about. The computer, different things, how they enhance our capability.
Absolutely, you can use anything. You could use number plates on cars. If you make a plea or a question or just a thought and you put that out to the universe, then the response or the mirrored match to that request can come back to you in many forms, and it can show itself in many different synchronistic ways. You can use tools to do this. So say you're looking at, say, tarot cards or oracle cards. The cards themselves don't necessarily hold any particular power. Although they do have a certain energy, each tarot deck will have the same energy when it comes to collective tarot, but they will have individual energies depending on the symbols and the pictures and the art used in that deck. When you join with that tarot, you put your energy into that tarot deck. So the tarot becomes a blend of its own energy and your energy. So 6 different people can use the same tarot deck, and all of them will have different energies as they blend with tarot. With crystals, it's different because crystals are actually living organic matter. So they do have a much larger, wider energy already. They hold consciousness. So they have their own energy already. And then you do the same thing. You merge or join with that crystal, and you can place intention into a crystal, so a crystal can work for you for a specific thing, or it can be a crystal simply for you and your energy and for all things. The crystal skulls have I won't say a higher vibration, but they have a much sharper, more intensified vibration because they're in the shape of a skull. They are shaped in an energy form that would allow them to focus like a human being's mind. They are the skull, they are the eyes, the mind, and we can connect with those in a completely different way. When you connect with a crystal skull, it's like you're looking into more of an intensified energy. It's more like a computer system. It's very much like going into a grid. Different people will have different experiences, and if you're at a certain level of development, you might resonate with tarot cards and oracle cards and not resonate with crystals at all, or vice versa. There's no right or wrong. Tools are amazing. They're wonderful. They're really helpful. And I think really what I would say to people is you can listen to all this teaching and you can read books about crystals or tarot cards, and you can do all the research, which is wonderful and really, really good. But really, this is very much based on how everything goes with you and your intuition. When I was a child, I used tools all the time, and I had no idea what I was doing. I would do this little ritual, and I think I started doing this at the age of about 9 or 10 years old. And I used to think I was crazy, and it would be my little secret. I wouldn't tell anyone what I did, and yet I now know I was ritualizing. And I would use tools. For example, if somebody bought me, say, a necklace for my birthday, I'd be so happy because I knew I could use this necklace to create something or to purify myself, which was what I used to do. So say I'd been living my life and then I did something I didn't like about myself. Say I lost my temper with my friend and we had an argument in the playground. I would feel awful. So I'd go home and I'd have to do like a rebirthing. I didn't know it was a rebirthing. I used to call it starting again. And I would take the necklace that I'd been bought for my birthday that had never been worn, and I would sort of project this power into this necklace, and then I'd close my eyes and I'd just put this necklace on, and then I'd go and open my eyes and I'd be like new. And I started doing this at about the age of 9 or 10 with toys and stones I found in the garden, jewelry if somebody bought me something. I would even save up my pocket money to buy these cheap £1, £2 necklaces so that I could start again. And then I'd take the necklace off, throw it away because I'd like had an argument with someone or I'd done something I didn't agree with, and then I'd have to buy another one. And I actually repeatedly did this throughout my life. From the age of about 9 or 10 right through into my early 20s, and never told anybody because I thought I was crazy. Obviously now, having moved into a spiritual way of thinking, I'm aware of what I was doing. It was just constant purification, constant rebirth, constant integration of self, analysis, but I had no idea what it was. So what I mean by telling you this is, trust your intuition. If you feel like you need to put your energy into something, if you feel that this is what you must do, it's your way of working with those tools. And those tools could be anything. The traditional ones are crystals, tarot cards, and the 9 do talk about high power objects or objects of high magic. And what that means is, the reason why an object has high magic, for example, a white candle is an object of high magic. Why is that? That's because there's a lot of individuals on this planet, and potentially beyond this planet, putting their consciousness into a white candle. As in, there are many, many people who hold the belief a white candle is a symbol of purity, or whatever it may be. So a white candle is then elevated to a position of high magic because it's being utilized. The same with crystals, and tarot has a very specific magical energy because it's been used for so long. So it has an ancient energy on it. So high magic is within tarot because it's been utilized again and again and again and again as a form for divination. But you can create your own power object. It can be, I could decide to choose my doll if I wanted to.
Yeah.
If I focused on her every day, putting energy into her and creating magic and synchronicity around her, if she came out with me when I attended rituals, or if I meditated with her, or I could think about her in my dreams, I could create her as a power object if I wanted to. So you can do it with anything, but I don't do that with my doll. She's just my little dolly who sits on my bed.
Would you say that it's the same when you go to a Catholic church, you say a prayer and you light that candle for your mother or whoever that?
Absolutely, yes. It's exactly the same. It's just coming in from a religious stream, and obviously the awareness of the individual that relates to the power object becomes a blend with that object. So you would have a sort of fourth dimensional awareness within a religious stream, because that is a fourth dimensional energy. But absolutely, it's the same thing. And if the person has an open heart and is very loving, genuine, kind person, regardless of their own understanding of spirituality, they have power and high power in themselves just simply by virtue of being a loving person. So absolutely, in a church,
yeah.
Obviously you get the opposite as well, and you can have objects of dark magic, and it works the same way.
Just the intention. But the reason I say that is, the things that we talk about aren't necessarily separated from, Christianity or a belief system. It's kind of all merged. You can be a Christian and do all this stuff. You can be a Wiccan or whatever, and it's not counter to any of that.
Oh, no, absolutely not. The only counter to it is your own belief system. So within the structure of, say, the Christian church, for example, tarot cards would be outside of that traditional Christian boundary, because it would be seen as something, not of the Bible, therefore it's dark. But that's only the belief system of that individual that creates that boundary. You may have another Christian who religiously follows a Christian devout path who does embrace tarot. That's their belief system. Therefore, that would work for them in a Christian way. It depends on the person's belief system and their paradigm, their energy, and the energy that they subscribe to and the way that they use the tool.
One of the things, I do believe that we have community-owned objects that have a variety of different energy sources. So let's
Yes.
take the money aspect. There's all sorts of different energies surrounding money. Some people don't have enough, and they're constantly.
It's the root of all evil type of thing?
Yes. Other individuals, there's just so much energy that's put on money. And we have to be very careful how we use those tools. We
Yep.
have to be crystal clear as to
Yep.
what we think money should do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, what you could do, and the best way to deal with the cleansing of money and making it work for you in a way that you wouldn't take on any more negative energy. So, for example, you go to a shop and you get given some change. That change could have been through thousands of people's hands, and there may be all sorts of different energies associated with that. The best thing to do is to follow your intuition about how to sort of cleanse the energy there. But if you don't know how to do that, if your intuition isn't speaking to you, then there are many different things you can do. One would be to either put the money in salt water, or what you could do is take a pile of money. You will have purified a crystal beforehand in sea salt water for at least 30 minutes in a medium, in a bowl that would be made of natural substance such as glass. Definitely not metal. That's not a good energy to use. With, say, filtered or spring water. So you've got a blank slate. It's like having a blank CD when you want to write a CD or a DVD. You want to burn a DVD. It's exactly the same thing. You take the crystal out. You then hold the crystal in your hand. You place the intention, the thought, whether that's communicating with the crystal or placing an intention into the crystal to assist you in the cleansing of negative energy in relation to money. Then you can place that crystal on top of the pile of money, or you can get a black velvet bag. You can buy them in these New Age Wiccan shops, or some black material or black silk, and wrap the crystal around the money, leave all that for half an hour. If you don't want to go through the process of doing that all the time, because that's quite time consuming, what I do is I have a tiny little crystal that is goldstone, and the goldstone crystals are very much in alignment with financial abundance because they're gold, so they can assist in the cleansing of the energy with financial abundance. And you can get tiny little goldstone crystals, so I always have one of those in my purse. When I say purse, in America, purse means handbag. I don't know what your word for purse is. Is it wallet? What's the thing you keep your money in? Is it wallet,
our
is it?
wallets, yeah.
Okay, so in England, men have wallets, women have purses, and what we have over our shoulder is a handbag.
Oh.
So I don't mean put it in your purse as a handbag, because that's too big. You need to put it in the wallet, where you've got your money. So I always keep a goldstone crystal in there. So any cash that comes in just goes into my purse, wallet, and is instantly, well, the money itself may not be purified, as in physically necessarily, but it will purify the energetic around that, because your intention has been placed in that crystal. Therefore, any money that goes in my purse, wallet, instantly takes on my vibration. So therefore, when I'm spending it, I'm using my own vibration rather than the vibration of the person who had it before. Because if we aren't aware of the different vibrations, we can very easily take on the negativity that's come in through something like money. It is a metal object, and it will hold frequency. And the same with the notes. Or even the debit card, all of these things can have a negative energy or a positive one, depending on the intention that you have and the way that you use that intention in relation to that object.
Well, that sort of explains a little bit about, in certain churches you have holy water. And so you bless yourself when you go into the church, and when you bless, you also have metals. For instance, my wife gave to me a medal from, she went to Majorca, one of the sacred sites, and it's in my wallet, and for her, that's safety. And so, whether we're talking crystals, whether we're talking traditional, all of us use certain kinds of sacred things, just like you're saying, that cleanse.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And with water, you mentioned holy water. If you look at the work of Dr. Emoto, he actually went deeper with this and actually looked at the vibration within the water and how the water responds to that vibration. So a word such as fear or a word such as bliss or love created a different formation within the water. I went to see him talk a few years ago before I think he passed away last year, but his work is still out there, Dr. Emoto. So this is like, physical evidence of the fact that you can create different energy through your consciousness. That was specific to the vibration that would come in from, say, the spoken word or the written word or music. So every single thing holds energy because every single thing is consciousness. So when you start to open up energetically and empathically and intuitively, you don't just read your own timelines or you read other people or you maybe read for the planet. You can read energy within anything. And what's really important to note is you can have several different individuals that may read something different.
Yeah.
And so you've got someone saying, well, so-and-so says that has this vibration and this person said it's got another vibration. Which one's right? Well, they both are. So, it's what's right for you and how you perceive that particular frequency and that particular object. Everything is so very personal with the ascension. It's a personal process. We're just all going through this personal process that's very, very similar all at the same time, but it is incredibly personal. And of course it would be, because there's only one soul in existence, so therefore it's personal.
I wonder if we had an off-worlder or an extraterrestrial individual, I would wonder if they have similar kinds of experiences with their kinds of energy fields. Have you ever discussed with the Council of Nine that aspect? Do they have their own tools?
Oh, I have discussed that with them, and obviously that's a massive question, because when you say extraterrestrial, I mean it just could be an infinite number of beings with all different ways of dealing with things. How do the Nine, specifically the Nine, do they have tools? That's a really good one. I haven't actually asked them that. The Nine individualize by virtue of my communication with them. So I guess their tool would be me, I suppose, and
okay.
mine would be them. If we're looking at, for example, the Nine explained to me that they have an Arcturian consciousness. So the nearest thing to a being, because the Nine is a geometric structure that goes throughout many dimensions, encompassing many different beings and ascended masters and angels and all sorts. If I were to draw them into the energetic that is an Arcturian light being, that would be the nearest thing to tools. But from that point of view, the tools that they would utilize would be individualized presentations of frequency. So their tools may be, for example, light, or the energy of love, or the energy of momentum, that sort of thing.
I see.
But then if we're coming down the frequencies into more of a sort of fifth or fourth dimensional extraterrestrial, then absolutely they would use more tools, because their existence is more linear. In a linear physical existence, we would have tools, and when we are in a higher dimensional state where we're pure energy, our tools are only that which we perceive as another entity outside of us, and simultaneously we'd be aware that we're one with that energy. So the tools would all be part of ourselves. But coming down the frequencies into, say, the fifth dimension, the fourth dimension, and definitely the third, we would have tools. And obviously there are extraterrestrials, beings we know as extraterrestrials within those dimensions that would have tools.
Now, when you talk about tools, it just kept coming to mind that they're kind of like spiritual training wheels.
Yeah,
A little bit of
absolutely,
help
yeah.
to get us to the same place.
Absolutely. If somebody comes along and is a beginner to spirituality and they've just started to get into awakening and thoughts, then tools are great for those individuals because they may have a leaning towards a certain tool because that particular tool is in their blueprint and in their mission. And then you'll have people who've been working spiritually for years and years and years who have worked with similar tools the whole time. And what they've done is create it in a very intense, powerful energy with the tools they use because they've used them for so long. So that tool becomes very much part of them. There's a merge that takes place, which is why they're so good at what they do. There's a lady who lives in my area. I haven't actually met her, but we're friends on Facebook and I've heard lots about her. And she's got such a good reputation when it comes to reading tarot. And from what I hear, her tarot cards have been so used that the pictures have faded. And, when you're getting a reading, you wouldn't even be able to see what the tarot cards are. But she knows exactly what they mean because she's built a personal relationship with that deck. So there would be, a real merge between herself and the deck as a focus. I'll have to ask her if she wants you to interview her and ask her to come along and tell you some of her.
Oh, that would be great.
Because I hear amazing reports about her, but I've not actually met her myself. But I do hope to meet her one day. But yes, so that's what I mean by this is when you have worked with something for so long, you do create like a consciousness within that, with that merge, whether it's tarot or whatever the tool may be. It's like somebody having a familiar piece of jewelry that they've owned for 40 years, or perhaps a piece of jewelry that's been in the family that your great 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 grandfather owned and has passed down the line. It's holding so much power and energy from the genetic line, so it becomes very very valuable to that family. Might not be valuable with money, it might not be valuable in worth, but it will be valuable energetically because it will hold the energy of that family. So,
where would you pick up a crystal? Or two parts. Where do you find good crystals and things? And then, so like, what do you do when you get the crystal or the new set of tarot cards? How do you merge and make that relationship, is the way I would describe it.
Well, if somebody wanted to purchase a crystal or a set of crystals, the first thing I would suggest they do is ask or put out an intention that they are going to find the crystal that's most right for them at that time. So that's what you do on the spiritual level. You're working with your intention, and then you bring that down to the physical level and you go out and find a new age shop. There's several where I live. I'm in the New Forest and I live really close to a little village called Burley, and it's really interesting. If you want to Google Burley, there's a real history there of white witches lived there, and there was a very famous witch that lived in Burley, and I think she came and lived in America for a while and then came back, and there's all sorts of sightings and hauntings, and in Burley they sort of they've retained that energy. So Burley village is full of little crystal shops selling, all sorts of weird and wonderful things. If you want a really good tarot deck and some amazing crystals, you go to Burley, and I'm only sort of 15 minutes away, so that's where I would go. Glastonbury, if you're in the UK, you'll have such an abundance of choice because every shop in the entire town is going to sell crystals and tarot and related items. So find a place nearby you that has that energy. If you're living nowhere where there are any new age shops, then online you are able to buy these things on the internet. They're all available. Amazon will sell them, I would have thought. You can find tarot decks and crystals online if you haven't got a shop near you, and you can divine that this is the right deck for you. If you're face to face with a tarot deck, you can pick it up and you may feel this is the right one. It might tingle, it might speak to you, you might see something, you might have dreamt about the art the night before. You might feel nothing, but simply just like the pictures. It's all so very personal. And if you aren't face to face with that tarot deck, I say face to face because it's like a person once you use it. You can do this online. You know, you can do the same thing. It's having the confidence to know that you are you're not just a conduit that is going upwards and downwards, as in this is the earth and that's the cosmos and I'm a direct link to that. You are a conduit that goes outwards. You are a beacon that goes outwards, and if you can radiate your energy outwards, then everything can radiate their energy towards you. So you can have a relationship with all things. You will find that tarot deck and you will find that crystal.
And then
Yeah.
what do you do when you receive it?
Oh, right, when you receive it. Okay, well, again, very, very personal. With tarot decks, some people might cleanse the deck, wrap it in black silk. You know, there are many different ways that you can do this. Somebody who's been working with tarot for years may have more knowledge about how they cleanse a deck. You don't have to cleanse a deck either. You can keep the deck as it is. You can put a crystal on top of it. I mean, whatever feels right to you. With crystals, you can put them in sea salt water, which is a really good way to cleanse them. As I said, in a bowl or jug that is made of natural material. So you'd use pottery would be a really good one, or glass. I wouldn't use plastic or metal because they're not. You're going to have a different vibration, and you want something natural.
That's
So cleanse
interesting.
the crystal. You don't have to put it in water. You could put it out on the windowsill in the sun. You can bury the crystal for a week in your garden and dig it up again, and you know, all of these things will cleanse it. You can just place it. Actually, you can create a crystal grid with other crystals you already have, and you can sort of create a circle or any geometric shape you want within that crystal grid, and any new crystal you have, you put in the middle of the grid. Same with a tarot deck. You can put the tarot deck in the middle of a circle of crystals. The crystals will then cleanse the tarot deck. But what's happening here is a grid is created. A grid is naturally created by crystals because they're organic. But with the tarot deck, your consciousness is directly linked to the tarot deck because you're the one that's going to be using it. Therefore, if you intend that this crystal grid is going to cleanse your tarot deck, then that intention, if it's pure, that intention then sets within that grid. So there are many ways that you can do this, but for me, for somebody who's starting out in this as a beginner, I would say cleanse your crystal in sea salt water or put it in the sun. And with your tarot deck, if you want to cleanse the tarot deck, wrap it in black silk or black material and leave it for a few days. Or, you know, you can cleanse it by holding it and putting your own intention there. You can meditate with the crystal deck. If you're a lover of cats, you can put your tarot deck on the floor and let your cat come and sit around it and bless it. Cats are amazing. They've got an energy themselves because their consciousness is multidimensional. So cats can work very much with you, with your work. You know, the traditional witch and her black cat. There's a reason that this folklore, you know, is presented because it's true. Cats, especially black cats, can work with us spiritually. You could put the tarot deck under your pillow and sleep on it for a night. There are so many ways that you can do this, and really the way is, what do you feel inside? Like I was saying, when I was a little girl of 9, nobody taught me any of this. I hadn't read anything anywhere about purifying yourself and starting again and putting energy in jewelry. It was just what I did. It was a game. It was a game that made me feel better. I just intuitively felt I had to do this, and that's where this lies. What does your intuition tell you? That will tell you more than any speaker, any book, any video. Your intuition will know what to do with that tarot deck and what to do with that crystal. If you're meant to work with these tools, you will feel that. You will feel good, you'll feel happy, you'll feel joyful, and it will feel intensely personal. So follow that feeling. That's always number one. Always number one is what you are feeling in relation to that tool.
You know, Magenta, many people, unbeknownst to themselves, do wear crystals. It's in the form of diamonds. It's in the form of birthstones. You know, each one interplay within our field of energy.
Absolutely. Diamonds are a very high vibrational crystal, and all the gemstones. What happens there is, when jewelry is made with diamonds in, there's often an intention to create money when one creates the jewelry. Depending on the company, depending on where the jewelry has come from, there are some very ethical, eco companies that will make these things, but a lot of jewelry, the intention is to create money. So you're going to have a greed type energy, negative energy in that jewelry to start with, but that's okay because you can cleanse it just the way you can with money. So you can buy yourself, if you want to work with the diamond light, the diamond frequency, you can buy yourself a diamond and work with that energy as a tool and cleanse it in this way. It doesn't matter where you purchase it. If you purchase it ethically, great, because you've got a higher vibration in the first place and you don't have to cleanse anything. But if you can't afford to do that, or if you find a cheaper diamond in a little sort of charity shop or something, that's a thrift store to you in America, I believe. You know, if you find... Actually, you probably wouldn't find any diamonds in a thrift store, would you? That's really silly, isn't it? But anyway,
you don't know.
You never know.
I guess a pawn shop might.
Yeah, pawn shop.
Yeah, it's a long shot. But, you know, and then wherever you get this from, you can cleanse it your way. Again, same thing. Wrap it in black silk, create an intention, put it in the middle of a crystal grid. And it's all about the intention that you hold, because if your intention is pure, you will remove that negative energy. That negative energy will move away. Only when you are afraid of it, only then do you give it power. So if somebody bought you a diamond ring and you knew that diamond ring had come from a normal shop where it's just come in from the consumer area where all sorts of energies are in it, and you were afraid, oh no, that's got negative energy on, you're going to give power to the negative energy in that object. But if you receive the object with an open heart and allow your frequency to be the frequency that's placed within that, the diamond is a living crystal and it will welcome your service to others' loving vibration. You can communicate with, you know, the rock, the crystal. The ones that seem to hold the most intensity for communication are the ones that are rough, if you like, still like the original rock, closest to how it would be when it's in the earth. So if you go into a new age shop and buy a crystal that's quite rough, you know, the rough jagged ones of all different shapes, they'll have more of an intelligence formed around them. The ones that are polished in the shape of little love hearts, they're crystals and they will work, but their energy is more refined. It's more sort of it's softer, and it gathers together in a sort of a collective consciousness way rather than an individualized energy. So, but both are good for different things. So yes, you can cleanse all of these things. You can work with all of these things.
It's kind of reminded me when, you know, everyday people kind of have the same idea, because they'll have, oh, I can't take that. That's blood money. It was gotten by bad means, so I guess we can cleanse that. So
yeah.
Well, we can, but again, it depends what it is. I mean, if somebody gave you, say, a gun or a knife, and that knife had been used to harm someone, yes, they can still be cleansed. It'd be difficult to cleanse a gun because the formation of a gun is specifically made for shooting somebody. So that's an energy you couldn't cleanse that really. But there may be a way that you could. That's not something I've really looked at. You know, and a knife, again, it's made as a blade, as a tool for harm, but you may find a way to be able to cleanse that. So that'd be the hardest thing. I'm just using that as the most extreme example. It would be difficult to cleanse those. So there is truth when someone says, oh, that's blood money. And again, a lot of it is it's their understanding of the object, what the object has been through, what energy it holds, and where their belief system is. That all matches together to create this stream. And so there must be a match. So if somebody has decided that object is blood money and I don't want it, then that's right for them. And then perhaps they shouldn't cleanse that, and they shouldn't hold that object because they are following their intuition. So it's as I said, it's individual. It's very personal when we work with tools, and it's right across the spectrum. They can be tools for harm, tools for control, tools for healing, tools for bliss, tools for divine spirituality. We have the whole spectrum.
Oh, if you've ever heard about it, if somebody gives you a knife, you're supposed to give them a penny. You shouldn't accept, a knife without paying for it, because that'll cut your relationship. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
No, I haven't, but as you were speaking, I just thought of a way you could purify the energy of a knife. If your intention is simply to use that knife for cutting your vegetables and, slicing off pieces of mango so that you can eat beautiful raw fruit, and that is your only intention, or perhaps if you wanted to move into the intention of protection only, that would be another whole, we'll do a whole talk on that. But that's what I'm getting at, is your intention is so important. When you place the meaning upon the object, it reminds me very much, the Harry Potter films. In the Harry Potter films, they do this, don't they? In one of the films, they create an object that holds the energy. It's called the Horcrux or something? It holds the energy of Voldemort, and it holds the energy of Harry Potter. I can't remember. I haven't seen the film for ages, but I remember watching it thinking, wow, that's so true. You can put energy into an object and hold your own consciousness into an object. It happens. You were talking about extraterrestrials earlier. I mean, there are extraterrestrials that would have this kind of technology where larger amounts of consciousness can be placed into objects and things, and for all sorts of reasons. So
one of the other tools that has mixed, you either love it or you hate it, and that's Ouija boards.
Yeah, that's a good example, Patrick. Really is. Yeah.
What? Go ahead.
No, sorry, you carry on.
Well, I was just trying to get your feeling as to, some people live by the Ouija boards. For instance, Jane Roberts contacted Seth in the 1970s through the Ouija board. And then there have been other individuals that have had demonic plagues.
Yeah, the Ouija board is a fantastic example of how a tool holds energy. It's a really good example, so thank you for that, Patrick. So a Ouija board itself, just on its own, holds no energy, really, as an object. But because there is a high level of consciousness on this planet that is afraid of the Ouija board because of experiences that have happened before, there's a lot of fear placed on the Ouija board. Therefore, the Ouija board will hold an energy of fear itself. So that will be simply in the words Ouija board, saying the word Ouija board, showing a Ouija board. It will hold that energy of sort of darker divination and fear and gateways to darker energies. It will hold that. But the Ouija board won't work unless it is with a medium, the medium that's working with it. There has to be a relationship between the two. So if somebody comes along frightened, doesn't really know what this Ouija board is, maybe it's a load of teenagers have got hold of a Ouija board and they decide to have a game and a seance and all have a few drinks, it's a massive no, to do that, because you don't know what you're doing. You are working with an energy that does hold a lot of mass, a lot of weight when it comes to consciousness coming in from the belief system of humanity. Therefore, you are more than likely going to have some negative experiences. Bring in somebody who knows how to work with these energies, somebody who's worked spiritually for a long time, a tarot reader or a psychic or somebody who's just naturally this way. If this person has an open heart and this person wants to use the Ouija board for divination, like Jane Roberts, there are other channels that have used a Ouija board to great success. If they are coming in with an open-hearted love and they want to use a Ouija board for divination, they will create a relationship with that Ouija board that blends with their own open-heartedness, their own service to self energy, and that Ouija board becomes a tool of power and a tool for good, and it will be a tool of light. So the Ouija board itself is only given power by virtue of the consciousness that's held because of our belief systems about it.
One of the things
that's a really good example.
You need two individuals to, one on each side of the little lever that moves around. So you need two individuals, and you have two different energy sources coming together. Are there, when they connect, do they connect to something spiritual in the next plane or a different dimension, or how do you know?
The whole lot. It can connect to a thought form that's around an individual that's there in the room, which could be a reflection of their own trauma. It could be a lower dimensional, fourth dimensional entity. It could be an entity that has passed over and left this reality, but leaves behind like a trace, there are certain imprints of energies that sort of play out like a video recording that holds consciousness, but it's not got consciousness in the wider sense. It's consciousness simply because it's a sort of a shadow, or an echo is a better way of explaining it. You could contact that, or you could contact a higher dimensional entity. I remember once a young teenager that I knew, was going to have a Ouija board party with a load of friends. They hadn't got a clue what they were doing. They'd never got hold of a Ouija board before. I advised them not to do this, and I said, if you do choose to go ahead and have your Ouija board party, I'm advising you not to, but if you do choose to do this, please phone me if you get into any problems, and I'll come down and help you all. But they chose not to in the end. So I was waiting on the phone thinking, oh dear, am I going to have to go and cleanse the energies of some whatever are they doing? They were too frightened in the end, and they didn't go ahead. And really, their own fear is what would have magnified the situation. So if you've got a bunch of teenage girls with a bottle of wine or whatever, and they're all very frightened, and they've got a Ouija board, which is a power object, as I said, it's going to create a vibrational match. Possibly nothing would have happened. And maybe some of these individuals are star seeds that are set to awaken in the future. So they would have a certain amount of, I hasten to use the word protection, but it explains it. It's more like leeway. It's more like there's a certain amount of, it's like I don't really know how to explain it. There's a certain amount of free pass in a way to some individuals when they're set in certain timelines to do certain things, that when it comes to their learning, they're given what's called the training ground. So it really depends on who is in the room, what are their thoughts and feelings, what's their belief system, their paradigm, what's their emotions, do they have traumas, what's their reason and intention for using the Ouija board. If their intention is to mess around and have a really good laugh, we're having a bit of a fun girly night with our wine. If they do contact an energy, it's going to be a vibrational match to that. They're messing around, so they're going to get an energy that messes them around. So if you've got an open-hearted, genuine need to connect higher dimensions in order to assist the planet and humanity within a Christ consciousness vibration, that's what you're going to get. If that person has worked with that energy and that's their intention, the Ouija board will be a focus to that intention. But saying all of this about tools, as I said, you don't need any of them, because you have all the tools you could possibly need inside your body, throughout the energetic field. Your tools are your thoughts, your emotions, and these objects are simply assistants. That's all.
Well, you have been mentioning that this is the year of the star seeds coming out and making a better understanding.
This is 2017
yeah.
because this is going to live forever on the internet.
Yeah.
So today is the inauguration day, Donald Trump and everything, and the next year you have said something about star seeds and
star seeds.
What's coming down the road here?
And
yeah, I mean, you
Go ahead.
Yeah, you could call this the Starseed Revolution or the Starseed Gathering. I mean, the Starseeds have been aware of themselves and of one another for many years, and obviously 2012 was very much about that. But I'm told from the Nine that 2017 is the year when... The reason why I mention the starseeds is starseeds are these aware individuals who have, if you like, been through this process before, and I'm talking about ascension. So they have memories of that ascension process, and those memories may be lying dormant, or those memories may be coming online and coming up in various ways. So the starseeds at the moment, because their awareness is so multidimensional, it holds more mass, more weight. Therefore, when it comes to the timelines for humanity and the timelines for Earth, the starseeds are the ones steering the ship. The starseeds' thoughts are creating realities and futures, not just for themselves, but for the entire planet. That holds the greatest influence over the timelines for Earth. So the starseeds came to this point around critical mass. It was around 2011 actually. So the 2012 point, which was this sort of 21st of December 2012 shift point, around that time, everything the starseeds were intending, wishing for, visualizing, creating, we're kind of going in these 4-year jumps. And so 2017 is like the manifestation of that which was intended in 2012. And 2017 is a blank slate for new intentions for 2020 into 2021. So it's quite a pivotal year in this 2012 energy, which sort of spreads out and encompasses many years. But anyone can move into this. So if somebody is thinking, well, I don't know if I'm a starseed or not, the mere fact that you've been drawn into the awareness of the starseeds anyway will probably mean that you are one. And anyone is a starseed when they activate their memories, simply by the virtue of the fact that you change your time. So you don't just change your future, you change your past. So somebody who is a third dimensional thinking individual would not be a starseed because their conscious memory is sitting within a linear time frame, and they are living within a third dimensional existence. Therefore, they would be a third dimensional individual, and they are set to go through an ascension process, as is the whole planet. But when that individual starts to remember perhaps that their lifetime is outside of Earth, they may have all sorts of memories and have a knowing that they're a starseed or an indigo child or a crystal child. The minute that awareness sets in, they become a starseed because they change their past as well as their future. They then change their past, and everything sort of interlocks like this. You were mentioning wheels. It's like a large wheel around you. The wheel turns and everything changes shape behind and in front. You change the matrix, and then this changes the past and the future, and you then become a starseed. So we're all starseeds. The other way of looking at this is starseeds will most probably have had knowings since childhood. So individuals who've had no awareness whatsoever, it still doesn't mean that they can't open to that starseed energy within them. They still can. But if they've had no awareness whatsoever, then they probably haven't come into that starseed point for now. The individuals that are aware starseeds will know that they are, because it will have been there since childhood. But that doesn't mean that the others can't awaken. And the Nine likened this very much to, if you see, if you want to imagine this as a train, so you've got a train that's taking all these people off to another dimension, and the only people that can get on this train are starseeds. But what actually happens is the starseeds get on the train, and when the starseeds are on the train, all their friends can come along too, and their family and people that they know, and they can get on the train and follow them, or they can catch another train and go on the same railway. It's almost as though the individuals that are not starseeded at this point and do not hold awareness or DNA activation are still able to access the energetics of the individuals who are starseeds by virtue of connecting with their consciousness. That's the whole point of this collective collective consciousness, this consciousness grid of light. Every thought that you have goes into that grid. The individuals who are not aware are still able to follow the starseeds, the leaders of the ascension process. So many more are able to go through this process. And they do this by virtue of their open heart, by being a good, kind person. They don't have to be spiritually knowledgeable. They don't even have had to have heard the word starseed or follow any religion. But if they are a good, kind person, and predominantly they want the best for the people around them, and they're genuinely loving and caring, simply just looking after animals, or caring for your younger brother or sister, or giving money to a charity, or helping homeless people, or whatever it might be, if there is a service to others vibration in that individual, then they will be going along with this process as well, whether they're a conscious starseed or an activated starseed or not. So 2017 is very much a year for this awareness and this realization. More and more people are finding this energy this year. And then they're moving in and helping to set those timelines. So the critical mass consciousness that's creating the timelines of this planet is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as we go forward. So it's a pivotal year.
It very much sounds like it.
I look back in the past, and it seems like things were so simple then. We were told that's bad and this is good, and everything was just kind of laid out, and you kind of knew who the enemy was and who the good people were. And now with all the expansion, it's so much more complicated, but there's so much more optimism because we are given the tools to create.
Yeah. And back then we thought we knew who the good ones were and the bad
Right.
ones were, but we didn't really, because
Right.
we didn't really understand polarity back then. And now, even though it seems more complicated, now we really are coming into an awareness of what good and bad means, and what does polarity mean, and why do we have polarity in the first place, and how do we relate that to our own personal lives, and how do we use polarity in order to move into unity. So we are far more aware now than we were then. But I know what you mean. It seemed more, going back in time, it seemed
Right.
more simple and more sort of on the table,
But whenever you pull back the curtain, it's like, holy crap! What's
Yeah.
One of the things that I found really interesting is that energy is a certain frequency. And a frequency, just like color, different colors have different frequencies, while energy does too. And I think if time travelers from, let's say 200 years ago, were to come to our frequency, they might not necessarily see us as Patrick, Magenta, Mike. They may see us as a different color, different frequency, different, we may not even be the physical kind of thing. And I guess what I'm saying
I
is,
thought maybe you was going to say we were going to get burned at the stake.
well, that too. But I think in Dolores Cannon, when she was communicating with Nostradamus, and Nostradamus had the ability to look at Dolores Cannon through remote viewing. He did not see her as Dolores Cannon. He saw her as a light.
Well,
Yes.
that's communicating at a different level.
Yep. And in essence, the frequency that we are experiencing, we think is the same as it was 500 years ago, or 300 years, or even 50.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
not.
No, it's not. And the starseeds can feel that. If you remember back, to when you were a child, and you tune in on the energy that you were feeling then, you'll be able to see how different it is. And if somebody were to be transported forward to 200 years, depending on the person, but the average person of 200 years ago, to be transported here, they may find that they would have problems surviving in this energetic field, because their cellular structure would not have moved forward in the way that ours has. Our cellular structure has changed in this time. We might not feel that. Obviously, the empathic, intuitive individuals are feeling it, but there are a huge amount of individuals who've had changes within the cellular structure who don't feel any different, and they don't feel the changes. So yes, there's more light. There's much more light throughout humanity, and that light being a change in frequency, as in a frequency getting higher, or a frequency getting faster, or a frequency getting more multidimensional, if you like. And yet, if you want to go back further than 200 years to maybe several thousand years, now they may be more equipped to deal with this energy because we had a higher energy before. We've gone in
sort of
cycles,
goes in,
exactly like this. Yes,
in sine waves.
So,
yeah. That's.
As far as things holding energy, I just, when we were talking, a few minutes back about places holding energy, I thought of the time that me and my wife and kids went to Gettysburg. The big battle was in the Civil War. And then we were driving across this field, and we looked at each other, and we were both tearing up just with this sadness. It's like, where's this coming from? It was just overwhelming, and we weren't thinking of anything. It just, the place just gave us this. And then we went around the corner, and we were going somewhere else. It seemed like somebody punched the underside of our van.
Yeah, because places hold a collective energy of the individuals, not only the individuals that live there now, but individuals who lived there in the past. And if something big happened, some huge event like a war or a battle, then that energy can be held there, just the same as we were talking about tools. And
Right.
one of the things I noticed was I went recently to a church locally to us. There's a beautiful sort of area there that you can go for a walk, and I came back to the car park. It's like an old car park and lots of trees, and there's this big walled garden running across by the church, and I noticed how intense the energy was within the wall. And I went out to touch the stones, and I thought, there's so much memory and consciousness held. So if I was to spend time, holding the wall and unraveling, you'd be able to get imprints and energy, like this, like I was talking earlier about videos, how they play out. But it's not like an echo with the wall. It's more like stored information. It's the same sort of thing you would see in the stones, at Stonehenge or Avebury, but that's a different kind of energy. This was more about information of what had occurred in this place. And I thought, and now modern rock, the way they use construction materials for construction, it's all this blended rock. It no longer has any life force. So if you go to a modern building, that can't store energy. It's got plastics and I don't know what's in it, but it's got substances in it that can't store energy. It has to be pure rock, an actual pure stone to store the energy. And I thought buildings now aren't holding energy anymore. So it's not just the consciousness of the place, it's also the structures within the place as well, especially the older structures like churches and they all hold the frequency of that place and hold energies that show experiences that have occurred there and the emotions people have felt. So
we have Indian sacred sites, Native American sacred sites in the
like
United
Serpent
States.
Mound.
Yeah, Serpent Mound, where their burial.
Lovely.
And some individuals can feel, just like what Mike was saying, going to the Gettysburg, some people can feel that energy. Because it was a ritual 2,000 years ago. When someone would die, there would be so much feelings and emotions.
Wow. Especially a lot of people would have had existences in these places. There are the North American Indian and the indigenous peoples have incarnated within Western society, many of them, and they will have memories there themselves. So if they've got memories there, they'll be able to feel the energy in that place even more because they have such a personal link with it. So, sounds amazing. I want to come.
We'd love to.
I want to visit.
We would love to have you.
Yeah, they have a gathering at the solstice and the, what's the midway point? Equinox.
The equinox. Yeah.
Yeah, they have gatherings there at those times.
Yeah, we do over here at Stonehenge as well, especially at the solstice points. There's always a gathering, especially the summer solstice. Yeah.
It's a lot better in the summer.
Yeah, they open the stones up because they're sealed off with like ribbon. You can't go and touch them or
Oh.
anything ever. No, because obviously so many people were going over there. But on the solstice, they open the stones, and that's when everyone can go and actually sit with the stones and touch them. So all the groups that are aware of how important the stones are will go there at the solstice. It's a huge gathering.
Well, yeah, our time is coming to a close. We do want to have you come back in a few weeks to talk more about some of the different things that are happening. But just for myself, I think you have helped the listening audience and ourselves better understand that every object has surrounding energy, and how we as a human being attach ourselves in our direction and our needs and our wants depends upon how that object will magically help us. Did I capture is that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, yes. Totally.
And do you have any other thoughts, words of wisdom,
Advice going forward?
Advice?
Well, I would say when it comes to, if we're talking about power objects and tools, I would say don't get too attached to them, because getting attached to them will help you work with them and help you merge with them. So it's important to have that connection and that merge, but try not to get so attached to the point where you'd be lost without the object.
That's a good
Right,
point.
Because-
you're giving it your energy,
Yes.
and
yeah,
you have
yeah.
no energy then.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point.
So that's my little tip.
Okay. I know that for our listening audience, if you haven't subscribed to Magenta Pixie's different YouTubes and videos, she has a wealth of information and knowledge about many different aspects on the ascension process, about spirituality. She's a ascension coach, a channeler, and we recommend it to anyone and everyone, at least touch bases with Magenta Pixie's online program, etc.
And check out the new book, the
Yeah.
Masters of the Matrix. I've
Yes.
heard it's a very good
Yeah.
read. Short and easy read.
Yes, and
Very
she's
accessible.
Yes, and she's an author that's going to have more books coming out. Magenta, I want to thank you very much for being our special guest. And
Thank you.
we want
Thank
you back.
you.
We want you back. So
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Mike.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Thanks for being here. And thank
Thank
you,
you.
audience, for watching, and we'll see you next time.
bye.